Our time in the cabin. This isn't as scary as some stories on here, but it really happened to us, so I felt it could belong here. So me and my friends decided not to talk about this, but none of them have this, and it happened again recently. Let's call the friends Hudson, Woods, James, and Eric. So we were on a school trip staying in South Fork, Colorado. We didn't have any adults in our cabin because the guy who was supposed to be in there with us bailed and they trusted us. So the trip is going smoothly. For the first 3 days, nothing weird besides the coyotes sound really close to us. That was until the third night where the coyotes were all silent. That's not the creepy part though. There's 5 guys in the cabin, and it's pretty much 3 rooms: the living room with the front door, the master bedroom with only one big window, and another room with 2 doors that are locked. One leads to outside and one leads to the furnace room. So we're all going to bed. Me and Eric were in the living room while the other 3 were in the normal room. So I go into their room to say goodnight and get my clothes for sleep. About 30 minutes pass before I turn off the lights to leave, but I see a sparkle out of the window. Turns out it's a lone coyote by itself. Its malevolent eyes staring at me, and I just felt the deep instinctual need to stare back. This goes on for a while. It's like a mental battle for me. My friends are asking what I'm doing, and I can barely answer. This goes on for another 5 minutes, I think, till the coyote ducks below the window and disappears. I tell them what happened, and they believe me with doubts. But as I'm leaving again, I see a huge white figure with what looks like the backboard for a basketball hoop as I hear starts slowly moving around the cabin that disappears. We all assume I'm hallucinating because I ate some strange plant as part of a dare. So I go to bed and nothing weird happens till the next night. Of course, this is all from my perspective. From what has been explained to me by the others, we all had very different experiences. Now is also a good time to note that I have aphantasia, so I can't see things in my mind's eye or dream. We also all decided this had to have happened in some kind of time warp because the strange things start at around 11:30 and end at 12:13 on the dot. So the next night is fine for the first few minutes while we're in our bigger group of about 20, but when we break off and talk about in groups, we get into our cabin and it's scalding in there. Us being teenage boys had kept the room at about 69 degrees. We got back and the thermostat said it was 83 degrees Fahrenheit. So we decided to open the door and sit on the porch for a while. The coyote laughs our back, so nothing strange, till Wood says he wants to go on a walk. Pretty normal for him. He likes time to reflect. By the time he gets back, we all have this weird feeling in our guts, just a subconscious niggling feeling. He comes running back a little shook. He says he was surrounded by the coyotes while he was out there, but they weren't making a sound, so he bolted to the cabin. We're all asked if he feels that weird feeling, and he agrees, but he says it's not subtle. He feels it strongly and is genuinely scared, which puts all of us on edge because he's the indestructible one in our friend group. But we're sitting there. James and Hudson had grabbed knives, and we all were pacing except Woods, who was now like shell-shocked on the couch. The next part is not important to the story, but I'll add it anyway. So 2 guys from the other cabin bust into ours and almost get stabbed by Hudson, who is tripping out at this point, so they run away as fast as they can. But then even more annoying, after we convinced the 2 to put the knives away, all of the ladies decided to storm our cabin with black face masks on and scare the crap out of us, so we just are trying to get rid of them. That's when the clock hits 11:30. That's when we all become weighed down by a presence. Suddenly Woods starts convulsing and crying and points at the doorknob because suddenly reflective objects are causing extreme fear for everyone except me and Hudson. This is when Eric sits down almost in tears. James is just sitting there staring at the blanket we put over the TV. Woods is still glued to the chair, and me and Hudson are pacing. We sit there and then the lights go out. Luckily, we have headlamps, so we quickly makeshift a lantern and hide it where the light still works, but it's not reflective. Sorry, this part is a little foggy because it was the contents of what felt like 8 hours in the time frame of 40-ish minutes. So we all can feel a presence. Then Wood starts freaking out like it was trying to enter him. Me and Hudson rush toward him, and I touch his chest, almost will, whatever it is, into my visionless mind, expecting it would have less control. And that move worked. I could feel it enter me. I used a lot of strength to tell my friends to think of walls and doorless houses. Then I realized I'm seeing something in my mind's eye. It's me, but some glowing, pale, demented version of myself. It was so uncanny. So I think about containers and locks till I'm sure this thing is trapped. So I'm calming my friends who all are still feeling it but is getting better. Then I start shaking and sobbing. That's when I realize it's breaking out of my mind. There's no way to explain that part. But next I walk over towards the window sobbing and shaking like a leaf in a tornado. And I notice the lone Coyote. It almost smiles at me, so I let the thing go and hopes it will try for the Coyote, and that worked too. After that, everyone was calming down, and we just talked and cried about what had happened and how it had affected each of us. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and follow my other socials.